It's the moment we've all been waiting for. Kevin McCarthy, Republican Speaker of the House, has removed Eric Swalwell and Adam Schiff from the Intelligence Committee. And Ilhan Omar is being removed from the Foreign Affairs Committee. Now, naturally, these individuals are outraged, and many other Democrats are outraged. And in fact, even some Republicans are angry, but it must be done. You see, Adam Schiff lied a lot, claiming that they had direct evidence of collusion between Trump and Russia that just wasn't public yet. Their investigation had uncovered a sitting president of the United States was secretly colluding with a foreign adversary. It is one of the most insane things to even imagine. And in hindsight, it seems ridiculous that any of us would have entertained the notion. Now, of course, many of you probably didn't. But I gave it some thought. I said, well, look, I don't know if it's true, but maybe we should look into it, because if it is, it's something bad, right? Often giving the benefit of the doubt to some very, very bad people. And for that, I have regrets. I didn't know enough about Adam Schiff, but now I'm kind of pissed. This is a guy who released private phone records of Devin Nunes and an American citizen, a journalist, no less. So, Kevin McCarthy is in the right to remove this man from a committee position that would give him access to privied information. As for Eric Swalwell, now Swalwell, I can't really say did anything wrong in terms of the Fang Fang story. He was apparently commingling with the Chinese spy a long time ago, and I don't know to what extent that impacts his job now. Matt Gaetz talked about it. He made some good points. But Kevin McCarthy says he was given a briefing, and looking at it, he says, okay, this guy should not have access to this information. It's a national security interest situation. And you know what? I'll take his word for it, because I know the Adam Schiff thing is true. I know that Adam Schiff lied, and Kevin McCarthy called him out to the press sternly. This is a man who lied to the American people. And he did. Now, Eric Swalwell also played a lot of stupid games and also misleads the public. That's tough. Politicians lie. It's what they do. Kicking him off committees? Well, you got this Santos guy who apparently lies a whole lot and lied a whole lot, and he's being granted committee positions. And Adam Schiff and the other Democrats are saying, see, look, he's given this liar a position. Yeah, well, he's not giving him a committee position on the Intelligence Committee. So it's very, very different. I want to take you back, and I want to show you what Adam Schiff was saying. And I want to show you how the media now is coming to the defense and gaslighting. What Adam Schiff did when he was chairman of the Intelligence Committee was, I would describe, evil. I describe it as evil. Claiming you had evidence that the president was committing treason. And this is treason. Aiding and abetting a foreign adversary. Okay, maybe not literal treason, because I think you might have to be at war. But Russia is an adversary of the United States. We should be allies, but look, these things happen. Russia has different interests to us. You've got the war in Ukraine. So, yeah. To accuse the president of the United States. Why? Because they lost. They lost in 2016. They were mad they lost in 2016, so they made up a fake story. And then, when the Mueller report came out and said it wasn't true, Adam Schiff switches his smoking gun narrative to the, well, no, they're not wrong. Mueller's not wrong. He's just saying they didn't exonerate Trump, but they couldn't prove it. Bro. This Adam Schiff guy came out and said there was a smoking gun evidence that Donald Trump was colluding with Russia. He said it over and over and over again. And he even said, it's there, it's just not public yet, you will see. And you know what? It's not real. It was never real. So yeah, maybe this level of corruption should not be allowed in the Intelligence Committee. But let's take a look at the story. Before we do, my friends, head over to timcast.com to become a member and support our work directly. As a member, you will get access to the uncensored Timcast IRL show Monday through Thursday at 11 p.m. We had an awesome episode last night with Nuance Bro. We were talking about racial disparities in crime. I want to check it out. And then on Monday, we had Steven Crowder, and we talked about the inner workings of big tech and various things we had been offered by these big companies. Supporting our work as a member at timcast.com doesn't just get you access to these shows. It helps our cultural endeavors. We're building physical locations. I would love to have 1,000 coffee shops in this country in 5 years. Seems like an ambitious goal. Maybe we'll settle with 2 in the next year and a half. We already have the building for our first location, a physical space where people can hang out. And when you walk in for your cup of coffee, when a regular person A normie who's not paying attention to politics walks in for a cup of coffee, and they get their coffee, they look up, there's a TV screen, and guess what's playing? It's playing Steven Crowder. It's playing Tim Katz. It's playing Viva and Barnes. It's playing Stick, Sex, and Hammer. And so we will give a space in physical locations to these conversations with your support. So don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. Let's read this story from Timcast. McCarthy removes Schiff, Swalwell from House Intelligence Committee. I am committed to returning the House Intelligence Committee to one of genuine honesty and credibility. Newly elected Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, rejected appointments of California Representatives Adam Schiff and Eric Swalwell for the House Intelligence Committee. The announcement followed a meeting between McCarthy and Democratic Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. I have rejected the appointments of Adam Schiff and Eric Swalwell for the House Intelligence Committee. I am committed. So we read it already. Let's pull up the actual letter he wrote and see exactly what he said. To the Honorable Hakeem Jeffries. Dear Leader Jeffries, thank you for your letter dated January 21st, 2023 regarding Representatives Schiff and Swalwell. I appreciate the loyalty you have for your Democrat colleagues, and I acknowledge your efforts to have two members of Congress reinstated to the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. But I cannot put partisan loyalty ahead of national security, and I cannot simply recognize years of service as the sole criteria for membership on this essential committee. Integrity matters more. As such, in order to maintain a standard worthy of this committee's responsibilities, I am hereby rejecting the appointments of Representative Adam Schiff and Representative Eric Swalwell to serve on the Intelligence Committee. It is my assessment that the misuse of this panel during the 116th and 117th Congresses severely undermined the primary national security and oversight missions, ultimately leaving our nation less safe. Therefore, as we enter a new Congress, I am committed to returning the Intelligence Committee to one of genuine honesty and credibility that regains the trust of the American people. Of course, Schiff and Swalwell are outraged at the idea that they would ever be held accountable. Now, let me slow down. Swalwell did play into the Russia con game. It was a lie. It was a manipulation. As for the Fang thing, the Chinese spy, that's tough. Matt Gaetz, he came and made excellent points. It was back when he was like a small town mayor. I don't know if that really matters. I dig it. I dig the honesty. Here's an opportunity to score political points, getting Eric Swalwell off this committee. But you know what? Right now, what we know is Adam Schiff lied. Kevin McCarthy, not the biggest fan of the guy, but he says we've got a briefing from the an intelligence briefing that shows Swalwell is compromised to a certain degree or brings up security risks. So we're not going to have him on this committee. Okay, there you go. Are we done? Apparently not. Mike Cernovich tweets, all of you who melted down when I said Speaker McCarthy would bring the heat can start apologizing now. Do so below. And I want to play for you this video where Kevin McCarthy responds to a journalist outlining his reasons. You can't really hear the journalists, so I don't want to meander too much on. There we go.
He's gotten elected by his district. So, okay, let me be very clear and respectful to you. You ask me a question. When I answer it, it's the answer to your question. You don't get to determine whether I answer your question or not, okay? In all respect. Thank you. No, let's answer her question. You just raised a question. I'm going to be very clear with you. The Intel Committee is different. You know why? Because what happens in the Intel Committee, you don't know. What happens in the Intel Committee, although the secrets are going on in the world, other members of Congress don't know. What did Adam Schiff do as the chairman of the Intel Committee? What Adam Schiff did, use his power as a chairman and lie to the American public. Even the Inspector General said it. When Devin Nunes put out a memo, he said it was false. When we had a laptop, he used it before an election to be politics and say that it was false and said it was the Russians. When he knew different, when he knew the intel, if you talk to John Radcliffe, DNI, he came out ahead of time and says there's no intel to prove that, and he used his position as chairman, knowing he has information the rest of America does not, and lied to the American public. When a whistleblower came forward, he said he did not know the individual, even though his staff had met with him and set it up. So no, he does not have a right to sit on that. But I will not be like Democrats and play politics with these, where they removed Republicans from committees and all committees. So yes, he can serve on a committee, but he will not serve on intel because it goes to the national security of America. And I will always put them first, all right? And if you want to talk about Swalwell, let's talk about Swalwell, because you have not had the briefing that I had. I had the briefing and Nancy Pelosi had the briefing from the FBI. The FBI never came before this Congress to tell the leadership of this Congress that Eric Swalwell had a problem with a Chinese spy until he served on Intel. So it wasn't just us who were concerned about it. The FBI was concerned about putting a member of Congress on the Intel committee that has the rights to see things that others don't because of his knowledge and relationship with a Chinese spy. They brought it to the works of the leaders. I've got that briefing. So I do not believe he should sit on that committee. And I believe there's 200 other Democrats that can serve on that committee. So this has nothing to do with Santos. Santos is not on the Intel committee. But you know what? Those voters elected Schiff, even though he lied. Those voters elected Swalwell, even though he lied to the American public too. So you know what? I'll respect his voters too, and they'll serve on committees. But they will not serve on a place that
It's interesting. The argument made by Schiff and Swalwell and Omar has a lot to do with Santos. You know, this guy is accused of lying about a whole bunch of crazy stuff. Apparently, they're saying he's like a drag queen or something. I don't know. I don't know anything about this. Just a little bit, obviously, on the surface level. But McCarthy makes a good point. Adam Schiff lied over and over again. His constituents still vote for him. Fine. You can have committees, but not ones where you're threatening national security. Santos is accused of lying over and over again as well. Fine. He's not going to be on Intel, but we'll put him on committees. Not like what the Democrats did with removing Marjorie Taylor Greene. And of course, the Washington Post runs an article saying they're completely different. Marjorie Taylor Greene got removed from her committees because of old Facebook posts from years prior. Old Facebook posts. That was their justification. It's absolutely remarkable that they would attack Marjorie because she said nonsense things they didn't like, things they view as nonsense they didn't like. But Swalwell, who was a politician, who has a briefing sent from the FBI, and Adam Schiff, who lied. That, to me, is really incredible. Adam Schiff tweets, Kevin McCarthy just kicked me and Rep. Swalwell off the Intelligence Committee. This is petty political payback for investigating Donald Trump. If he thinks this will stop me, he will soon find out just how wrong he is. I will always defend our democracy. Yeah, I really don't buy it. They did a briefing. I have some clips here.
Is seating a human fraud, George Santos, on committees, a serial fabricator about every part of his existence. He's perfectly comfortable with it. He needs George Santos.
Yeah, but he's not talking about putting George Santos on the Intelligence Committee. You see where this goes? Ian Miles Chong tweets, Eric Swalwell plays the victim when asked to address McCarthy's refusal to put him on the Intelligence Committee.
About somebody else. So this is purely about political vengeance. The cost is not only removing us from the committee. On the Intelligence Committee, the cost is not only breaking, shattering the most precious glassware in the cabinet, a committee that's always been bipartisan. The cost are the death threats that Ms. Omar, myself,
here we go,
and Mr. Schiff keep getting because Mr. McCarthy continues to aim and project these smears against us. Even though we have said publicly these smears are bringing death threats, he continues to do it, which makes us believe that there's an intent behind it.
Right there, my attitude is, Swalwell, you're out. You're lying. You are corrupt. Gone. He keeps smearing us, and it's resulting in death threats. Therefore, he wants them to happen. If you rob a bank, and then I say, reports suggest you robbed a bank. Hey, you're smearing me. Look, man, I know the media lie. They're liars, and they smear. So we try to do our best to break through the noise and figure out what's true. So if I say, my friend, you did a thing we know you did. Adam Schiff lied to the American people. I've got proof. We know he did. Then, when we say we don't want him on a committee, or we tell the American people he lied, and you say, hey, it's a smear, and now people are threatening us. Like, dude, telling the world you did a bad thing, making them mad, is not us trying to make anything bad happen to you. It's called accountability. And of course, Swalwell goes right for that. But the death threats against us. Get them off. These people are bad. Swalwell tweeted in response to McCarthy saying this rejection is based on a claim. The Washington Post independent fact checker gave 4 Pinocchios. Speaker Boehner and Ryan, both Gang of 8 members, appointed me to Intel with access to the same facts McCarthy is distorting. He can keep me off intel, but I'm not going away. Okay. Washington Post. Let's talk about the Washington Post. This is from analysis from Glenn Kessler. Yes, the Washington Post, unbiased as it were. McCarthy's specious attacks on Adam Schiff and Eric Swalwell. So they write, January 18th, 2023. 2 years ago, when House Democrats removed Marjorie Taylor Greene from all House committees after she espoused extremist beliefs and approved of violence against prominent Democratic politicians, McCarthy and other Republicans warned that the precedent-shattering move would come back to haunt them. Traditionally, each party had selected its own committee members and meted its own punishment. Late in 2021, the Democratic-controlled House also removed Rep. Paul Gosar from all committees after he used official resources to create and post an animated video depicting the killing of Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and violence against President Biden. All right. That was a post, I believe, that was like Attack on Titan, the anime, and they put AOC's face on the Titans. Perhaps inappropriate. A lot of people thought it was funny to do a meme like that, but considering the level of violence in this country, I'm going to say inappropriate. Strip him from his committees? Okay, well, look, I'll put it this way. Did he do a thing while he was in Congress and you removed him for it? Well, did it create any threats to this country? Was it an ethics breach where you tell him not to do it again? Or did you say it is an opportunity to gain political power? Oh, that's what they did. Okay. As for Marjorie Taylor Greene, let's talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene, who made comments before she was actually in office. And for this reason, they went after her. But when Ilhan Omar was heavily criticized for multiple posts that people said were anti-Semitic, I refer to them as crop dusting anti-Semitism, like getting as close as possible without being overt. They said, instead of even condemning Ilhan, first of all, she stays on her committees. Second of all, we're not actually going to condemn her. We're going to condemn all bigotry. So they didn't actually address the complaints against Ilhan Omar. And now you come and say, no. So this is the game they play. Eric Swalwell, they say Chinese spy, but he didn't actually do anything wrong. That's a fair point. I gotta say, there may be some compromising information here we don't know about. This is what McCarthy says about the briefing. I'd like to see the evidence. I'd like to know for sure we're doing the right thing. Fair point. Because Adam Schiff played dirty games too. This is an article from 4 years ago. House Russia investigation has abundance of evidence against Trump, says top Democrat. Adam Schiff said the panel had seen evidence of collusion with Russia and obstruction by Donald Trump's campaign and administration that's not yet public. Really? February 2018. Adam Schiff, the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, said Wednesday that the panel had seen an abundance of evidence of collusion with Russia and obstruction by Donald Trump's campaign and administration that is not yet public. Guess what? It's not true. Donald Trump didn't do these things. They lied. This was a lie. Speaking to reporters in Washington, Schiff said a lot of information was already in the public domain that pointed to extensive contacts between the Trump campaign team and the Kremlin, and later efforts by the Trump entourage to cover up those contacts. But Schiff said there was much more to come out. Quote, there is certainly an abundance of non-public information that we've gathered in the investigation, and I think that some of the non-public evidence is evidence on the issue of collusion and some on the issue of obstruction. He's very careful in how he phrased it, but it wasn't true. He played this game where he's like, there was evidence Trump colluded because Trump one time talked to a Russian. Is it evidence? Well, I mean, in the most strictest of sense, I guess technically, but not compelling evidence, not beyond a reasonable doubt. Like, I'll put it this way. A bank gets robbed. You are seen fleeing away from the direction of the bank. You then go to court and they say, what evidence have you? This individual was seen fleeing the scene of the crime. Okay. Is it evidence? It is. Is it proof? It's certainly not. You could have been jogging. You could have been running from a dog. You could have been running to the bathroom because you had to go really bad. So if you take a small piece of evidence and line it up with a bunch of things to paint a picture, let's talk about other evidence. One witness says they saw you running from the scene of the crime. He was near the bank. I saw him running away from it. Does it prove you did anything? Of course not. It could just be, like I said, you're going to the bathroom. Another witness says, I saw him go in the bank moments before. Now we're getting somewhere. You see, maybe evidence, not legitimate. But you see, this kind of language being used here is intended to manipulate the American people. From the Washington Examiner, Meghan McCain presses Adam Schiff on claim of smoking gun over Trump and Russia collusion. This was July 25th, 2019. And he was asked, why do you think Mueller is wrong? And he goes, no, 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 no. And then this is what we saw. Democrats all came out and played the game when it came to Russian collusion, saying that, well, it didn't exonerate him. Mueller says Trump wasn't exonerated. Yeah, because investigations don't exonerate. You can't exonerate. You're trying to prove if there's a preponderance of evidence to move forward with an indictment to then prove beyond a reasonable doubt someone committed the crime. And so what ends up happening? They say it was not exonerating of Trump. That's the new game they play. Now, interestingly, some Republicans are actually pushing back. Axios reports GOP opposition to kicking Dems off committees grows. Another member of the House Republican Conference, Rep. Victoria Spartz, said Tuesday she opposes Speaker Kevin McCarthy's plan to strip committee assignments from several House Democrats. Her comments put an expected vote to kick Rep. Ilhan Omar off the Foreign Affairs Committee in serious jeopardy, as Republicans with the narrow majority can only afford to lose a handful of votes. That vote could come as soon as this week. House Democrats' steering committee is meeting Tuesday evening to recommend committee assignments. Compounding matters for Republicans is that Rep. Greg Stube of Florida has said he will be out of D.C. for several weeks as he recovers from injuries sustained from falling off a ladder. Oh, bummer, man. Spartz, in a statement, cited her votes in 2021 against kicking Reps. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Paul Gosar off their committees. Two wrongs do not make a right. Speaker Pelosi took the unprecedented actions last Congress to remove Reps. Greene and Gosar from their committees without proper due process. As I spoke against it on the House floor 2 years ago, I will not support this charade again. Her statement also applies to McCarthy's plan to kick Adam Schiff and Eric Swalwell off the House Intelligence Committee as well. But McCarthy can do that unilaterally without a House vote. Okay. Adam Schiff should not be on the Intelligence Committee, period. Look at this. Controversy on phone records intensifies amidst impeachment. How about you write, Rep. Adam Schiff leaked private phone records? It was a drive-by. It was a gratuitous drive-by that you wanted to smear the ranking member, Collins told Schiff's Democratic counsel, Daniel Goldman. Schiff's report detailed that Nunes had multiple communications with key figures in the House impeachment inquiry. Rudy Giuliani, Trump's lawyer, as well as Giuliani's Soviet-born associate Lev Parnas. Blah, blah, blah. They also released the phone records on John Solomon, an American citizen, private citizen, and journalist. This is evil, and it's abuse of power. So don't come to me, Spartz, or anyone else and say Schiff deserves to be on this panel. I disagree. They say Rep. David Joyce of Ohio, the chair of the moderate Republican governance group, told Axios on Tuesday that Omar should be at least given the opportunity to defend her prior statements on the House floor. I haven't taken a position on it because I haven't seen a case against her, but I think she's entitled to due process and she should be able to make her case on why she shouldn't be removed. Okay, I agree. I really do. I do. On Omar, I do. Spartz joins Rep. Nancy Mace, who told Axios in December, I'm not going to support it. Rep. David Valido also told Axios at the time, I've never been a fan of that. Members are elected by their districts. To throw them off seems inappropriate. Rep. Mike Lawler, who represents a Biden district but also has many Jewish constituents, told Axios last month he supports booting Omar. Somebody like Ilhan Omar should not be serving on foreign affairs, especially with her stated positions with respect to the state of Israel. So I would absolutely vote to remove her, he said in a phone interview. Now I'm going to pause right there and say, look, man, Israel-Palestine's a conflict. Ilhan Omar's made less than polite comments about Israel, but many people have made supportive comments of Israel. Should they be booted because of what they said about Palestine? I think you should have an eclectic range of views on these committees, and simply because she's critical of Israel does not mean she should be removed, in my opinion. Now, if you want to get into anti-Semitism and you want to talk about the weird, creepy anti-Jewish stuff, I'll have a conversation about why I'd be concerned about those biases. And that's a consideration for Ilhan Omar. If her statements about Israel are rooted in anti-Semitism, meaning she's just literally biased against Israel for the sake that it's a Jewish state or something to that effect, then I'd be like, that's not sound logic. That's not going to help improve things. If she is critical of Israel for legitimate political reasons, like the West Bank, etc., then it is wrong to remove her. Unfortunately for Omar, I'll say this. She's made disparaging comments about people that many view are anti-Semitic, and I think get close to it. But maybe there should be some due process on this one. Adam Schiff is really what it comes down to. Adam Schiff, just get him out. He is corrupt. Spartz also issued a broader rebuke of McCarthy's governance, stating, Speaker McCarthy needs to stop bread and circuses in Congress and start governing for a change. She has proven increasingly independent in her second term, voting present on several ballots during the speaker election earlier this month and denying McCarthy a crucial vote before eventually flipping back and voting for him. It's very interesting. We'll see how this all goes down. But the Republicans aren't stopping there. From Politico, McCarthy taps GOP members to investigate COVID policies. The panel, which will include Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene, is expected to investigate the origins of the virus and pandemic restrictions. Should get interesting. Looking to flip the tables on years of Democratic-led probes, Speaker Kevin McCarthy on Tuesday night named 9 Republicans to the Select Subcommittee, including a chief in Rep. Brad Wenstrup's Ohio, co-chair of the GOP Doctors Caucus. The subcommittee is likely to be at the center of a multi-pronged GOP-led effort to investigate coronavirus policies. That's expected to include pandemic restrictions, the origins of the virus, and decisions by high-profile health officials, including Fauci, who stepped down from his post as President Joe Biden's chief medical advisor last year. The lawmakers will also finally get answers to the COVID origins and the federal government's research that contributed to the pandemic. Greene, who emerged as an ally for the California Republican during his speakership fight, but still holds a megaphone with the party's right flank, is among the Republicans getting a seat on the subcommittee. It's the latest high-profile boost for Greene, who was stripped of her subcommittee assignments by Democrats and about a dozen Republicans due to her incendiary rhetoric. Republican leadership pledged to reinstate her to committees if they won the majority. McCarthy has handed her other plum positions, including a seat on the Oversight Committee and Homeland Security Committee. Rep. James Comer, however you pronounce it, who is leading the Oversight Committee, which will house the Select Subcommittee, has also pledged to conduct investigations into the coronavirus and pandemic era aid dispersed as part of several coronavirus relief bills that totaled trillions of dollars. Other Republicans on the committee will include Reps. Nicole Malliotakis, Marionette Miller-Meeks, Debbie Lasko, Michael Cloud, John Joyce, Ronnie Jackson, and Rich McCormick. Democrats still need to name their own members to the subcommittee, so we will see. A lot going on. GOP investigations of Biden to test Chairman Comer's power. Comer, whatever. Our sick family, why Hunter Biden lied about paying $50,000 per month rent. That's what they're saying now. We saw the document. Hunter Biden claimed to be paying $49,910 in rent. And they say it was a lie. The Washington Free Beacon says they independently verified it was a lie. I'll take it. That's fine. We have a document where Hunter Biden claimed he was paying his dad $50,000. Why would he do it? Because he's lying to get access. That's really it. Lying to get access so that he can get an apartment or otherwise. But I think it shows exactly why the Bidens need to be investigated. Because if he's going to come out and lie on an application form, net fraud, to go and be like, give me something of value in exchange, I will lie to you to trick you into doing it. Is it fraud? How many people actually lie on their rental application forms? Now, it's one thing if you make a mistake. I swear to the best of my knowledge, what I've stated is true. You're not going to go to jail because you made a mistake on your tax form. It's different. Hunter Biden did not accidentally claim he was paying $50,000 in rent. He overtly did it and he lied. Okay, or maybe he didn't. Maybe he really was paying his dad $50,000 per month. How about we find out? We can find out for sure exactly what was going on. We have this from Politico. DOJ reserves right to not cooperate with certain House GOP requests. Surprise, surprise, ladies and gentlemen. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? When the Democrats are in power, what do we get? Crackpot Russia conspiracy theories. They blame everybody else. Lockdowns. Oh, man. And we can talk about other things Adam Schiff was involved in. I mean, it wasn't just Russia. Let me jump back to that clip from Kevin McCarthy, where he's talking about Adam Schiff, and we'll play this back.
Other members of Congress don't know. What did Adam Schiff do as the chairman of the Intel Committee? What Adam Schiff did, use his power as a chairman and lie to the American public. Even the Inspector General said it. When Devin Nunes put out a memo, he said it was false. When we had a laptop, he used it before an election to be politics and say that it was false and said it was the Russians.
And there it is. It wasn't just the Russia collusion narrative. It was the Hunter Biden laptop. And Schiff lies. And the journalists come out and protect them, saying they claim it's all Russian disinformation. Then it turns out it wasn't. The laptop is real. The emails are real. The shady dealings are real. It's about time we actually have these things get investigated. Because I'm sick of it, man. I'm sick of the lying, the cheating, and the stealing. I'm sick of the DOJ targeting only one political faction and now saying, well, maybe we won't even cooperate with the Republicans. We got a sickness in this country. We've got corruption in this country. And Adam Schiff's a part of it. And unfortunately, large components of the DOJ are as well. Something must get done. Now I'll address the last thing, the Kevin McCarthy thing. I was happy to see Matt Gaetz challenge this guy, establishment player. I think one of the only reasons we're actually seeing Kevin McCarthy do the right thing, to the extent that he is, because he doesn't always still, is because of the pressure placed on him by members of the Freedom Caucus, Matt Gaetz and Lauren Boebert. Now, I certainly think it was an inevitability for the most part. I couldn't imagine someone else actually winning, maybe Jim Jordan, I doubt it. But they were able to negotiate. They were able to say to Kevin McCarthy, you must respect our position. And it seems like now he is, at least a little bit. So I'll take it. I don't know if there was a better outcome. Mike Cernovich says it's time for everyone to apologize. Well, I am surprised to see him bringing the heat to this degree. So, okay, I'll take it. The fear was an establishment player like McCarthy would just go the speed limit. And we'll see. Cernovich wants an apology. I think it's a fair point for now, but I think we need more time. Are we going to get cosmetic? Are we going to get beauty policy, fashion policy to make us think he's actually doing things, but then he won't actually do them? Are we going to get a real investigation? These things are good starts. They're good starts. But kicking someone off a committee doesn't do a whole lot. Let's see some more. I'll leave it there. Next segment is coming up at 6 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimCastNews. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all there.